Hello, geometry people. Sorry, not geometry. Financial algebra people. Hello. How are you? Today we're going to learn about making a periodic investment. The formulas that we've looked at in the past are basically you just make a one-time investment and then you see what happens as your money is compounded. But that's not the way most people save money. Most people save money like every paycheck to put $100 away or something like that. I do the same thing with my paycheck. Every paycheck I get a certain amount put into my 403b. So this formula will show us how to handle a situation like that. Now, I have taught this in the past, and we've used calculators, and it is pretty difficult. And this year, originally, I was going to skip it because of the coronavirus and this and that. But then when I thought about doing it on Google Sheets, it actually works pretty good. So let's take a look at this formula. Some things are the same, some things are different. We have an ending balance, B. So that's how it ends. Now, the P here is your periodic deposit amount. Say you put in $100 every month, $1,000 every year, something like that. $600 every paycheck. R is the annual interest rate. Here it says expressed as a decimal, but remember when you're using Google Sheets, you don't have to write it as a decimal. Just put it in as a percent. Now, N refers to the number of times interest is compounded annually. So like daily is 365, monthly is 12, quarterly is 4, weekly is 52, etc., etc. And then T is the length of the investment. So to do this in Google Sheets, we're going to have a P, a R, an N, and a T that we input, and then we come up with our formula for B. So let's put in the P, which is the periodic deposit amount. Let's put in R, our interest rate. N is number of times it's compounded annually, and T is time in years. And then B is going to be our balance, which is what we're going to do the formula. So here's our problem. Linda and Rob open an online savings account that has a 3.6% interest rate. Okay? Well, right there, that 3.6% goes into R. But what we're going to do for the R is we're going to come up here on the column for R, and we're going to click on percent. So that now when I come down here under the R and I put in 3.6, it'll show up automatically as a percent. Compounded monthly, okay? That means the number of times per month is 12. If they deposit $1,200 every month, okay, that's the amount that goes in for principal, which they're putting in every month, and then it gets compounded monthly. How much will they get after 10 years? Now, let's do this formula. This formula looks pretty complicated. There's a couple things to remember. We always start with equals and then parentheses. So we're going to have to put parentheses around that whole thing. Also, remember, whenever we're doing something with a fraction, the numerator and denominator have to have parentheses around them. Okay? So my first parentheses was to start the formula. I'm going to do another parentheses because I'm doing a numerator. Now the first thing I see is P. P comes from cell A16. I'm down here on A16 because I put this stuff up above so you guys could see it. So that's going to be A16. Now we're going to multiply A16. And here you see two sets of parentheses. So let's put in the two parentheses. There's a 1 plus R divided by N. R is the interest rate, which is B16, divided by N, which is C16, and then let's close that one parentheses, and now we have an exponent of nt. So I'm going to use my exponent symbol. It's n times t, so that has to be in parentheses. So it's going to be n, which is C16, times t, which is D16. Okay, then let's close the exponent for the parentheses. Let's do a minus 1, and then I'm going to put in a parentheses which represents this parentheses right here. But then I have to do another parentheses because remember the whole numerator was in a parentheses. Now I'm going to have the fraction bar, so that's going to be division. And the denominator is r divided by n. So I'm putting the denominator in parentheses, and it's r, which is B16, divided by n, which is C16. Okay, and then we're going to close that parentheses, which was for the denominator. And then we have to add one more parentheses, which closes out our whole formula. And let's cross our fingers and see if we did this correctly. Yes, we did. Oh, now, you notice this is supposed to be money, and I see 0.8677. That's not rounded to dollars and cents. That's because I forgot to make the A, which is your periodic deposit amount, into money. Now notice on the rate, you have to do the percent ahead of time, but the money you can do after. So I'm going to come over to column A. I'm going to click the currency symbol. It makes that money, and then it also converts this to money because we used this in our column. So you see what happens is if you deposit $1,200 every month, and you do that for 10 years, you're going to end up with $173,000. That kind of stuff grows pretty quick when you invest it. Now, this formula was a little more difficult than the one you did yesterday. That's why I kind of showed you how to do it. And then when you do your assignment, once you have this first row set up and you've got your formula down, you just put new numbers in, click, 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 and then come down to that column and just click or drag it down, and you'll have your answer. Okay, so I'm going to stop recording now and post this on YouTube.